And there we go. Now we're live everywhere. And I think we got everything ready to go and the buttons are pushed. And I didn't accidentally push the wrong button to disconnect everything. It happens. It happens. Yes, Eugene, congratulations. You've got your attention. I guess that makes you happy. All right. Yes, we agree. Free them. Yeah, from Hamas. Absolutely. 100%. Okay. There we go. Yeah, folks, welcome. Welcome to the presentation. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you're having a good Friday. It is a very cool Friday because it is, in fact, Paranormal Friday night. Moderators, do me a favor. Of course, if the trolls get rude, I want you just to block them. We're not going to mute, but just block. We're done with the ridiculous, childish, nonsensical behavior. We're done with that. So just block them. We've muted people, but I've just gotten to a point where I'm done. I'm over it. So block. If it gets too bad, let me know, and then I will put subscriber chat on. And then the only people that can chat are subscribers because the trolls are so rampant on that platform. I don't get it. TikTok, it's time. It really is not time for you to start banning these trolls. You need to start banning them. I don't understand why you're not. So, okay, yeah, Northern Ireland. Well, hello there, Ireland. Boy, I'd say it's so cool because there's people from all around the world. What is a normal day for me? It depends. It depends on if I'm working a case, which I'm working now. So speaking of which, let me get into this. Folks, so I'm Bishop Long. I appreciate you being here. Happy Friday to you. It is, in fact, Friday the 13th. And we all know that Friday the 13th can be, it's a scary day for some people. And I tell you what, there are people that just, when it comes to Friday the 13th, you're not going to convince them to do anything else other than they're going to stay in their homes because they are legitimately, they're terrified when it comes to Friday the 13th. So we're going to have a good conversation about that. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. If not, well, then you can just request a refund. Or not. Okay. I'm trying to find this stupid thing. There it is. All right. Yeah, I tell you what, there's a lot of people. Friday the 13th is very, very, very crazy. So again, for those of you who are, if you're trolling, you're just going to be blocked. Trolling is not applauded here. I know on some of the lives, trolling people, you think that you've done something clever. We look down upon trolls here. We don't applaud you. We actually scorn you because it's childish and it's ridiculous. So you're going to be blocked. No one's going to applaud you for your rude, nasty comments. No one is going to think that you're clever. No one is going to follow you because I know that a lot of you, that's what you do. You troll so you can get followers. You're not going to get followers here. You're just going to get blocked because we are adults. We're not children, nor do we behave as children, nor do we tolerate people who come in and act like children. So I'm just letting you know, if you're going to come into this live and you're going to troll, you're going to be blocked. Plain and simple, no warning, blocked. That's it. And that's the way it's going to be. And again, if it gets out of control, I'm going to put subscriber chat on. And the only people that will chat will be subscribers. And if you don't like it, don't care. All right. Well, good seeing you there. Good seeing all of you guys. I appreciate you guys. Boy, there's a lot of people being blocked. Isn't that a shame? You're trolling clergy on a Friday night. I say this often. On a Friday night, you have nothing else better to do than to go on Clergy's Live and troll. Hey, really, seriously, on a Friday night of all things to do, well, I'm going to go on TikTok and I'm going to troll that clergy. Oh, I'm so clever. Look at me. No, I'm trolling you. Oh, look at this. I'm so clever. I'm going to say something really nasty. Oh, and then people are going to think that I'm really cool. Block. All right, folks. Listen, if you want to go to my website, you certainly can do so. Head on over yonder and go to bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com. And if you want to go to the church's website, you can certainly do so, usocc.org. Now, yep. Yeah, we're gonna have a good conversation tonight. Don't forget, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have night prayer. Okay, so night prayer is this evening. Don't forget at 10 p.m. Eastern. Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, thank you very much. And folks, do me a favor also, if you would, go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. And if you would do us a favor, that would be wonderful. Yeah. Lift the ban. Well, yes and no. I thought I understood why it was in the first place. But if you go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, first of all, there are a lot of books that I have published. And there is Understanding the Parables. That's there. The Seven Archangels is a book that is published for you guys. Paranormal Investigators Training Manual. Paranormal Investigators Training Manual. It's about 250 pages or so. That is up there as well. There are several books. And guys, this is why I want you to purchase the books. And I want you to purchase every single one of them. First of all, I'm the author of the books. I own the book. They are copyrighted. And because they're my books, every author who writes a book has every right to receive the funds from selling the books. But as a community, we have decided to give 100%, 100% of the funds is going to the MKS Kids Foundation. So people tell me, well, James, I mean, you deserve, income too. And yes, I do. But I live very simple life. And the MKS Kids Foundation is a legitimate nonprofit organization. They are an orphanage. They are really making a wonderful, just a wonderful dent, if you would, in many children's lives. So if you just simply go to Bishop James Long and you follow that with a .com and just you'll see, click on the books link. And so anyway, they need help right now. For those of you who don't know, what's your favorite book you wrote? Well, the favorite book, right now it's in editing, but I finished the demonology book, and that was a lot of in depth. All of it is, but I really the demonology book is. But honestly, I have to say that the book that is most sentimental would be my mom's cookbook. So my mom she was a great cook. God love her. She was just, she'd always say, I'm just a simple at home, Southern, she worked, but when she worked, she'd also come home and then she'd cook for the family. And it was just one of the, it was amazing food. If you like Cracker Barrel, that's it. And so I kept telling her, I was like, you really need to make a cookbook. And she's like, oh, no one would be interested. I'm like, just make it, please. So she put all the recipes together. I put the book together, had it published, and it's up there for you. So I think that's as far as sentimental, that's probably, again, if you want to get the book, guys, go to bishopjameslong.com. Click on the books link. That's all I got to do. And also, if you want to help the MKS Kids Foundation, unfortunately, right now, they keep getting their lives taken away because of, they don't have all the fancy lighting and all the background and all that. They're an orphanage. So anyway, they keep getting their bands banned, for 14 days. And that's not right. Come on, TikTok. Come on. I mean, they're banning them basically because they don't have the proper lighting in the background. And it's just, come on. So nonetheless, they have not been able to go live. And that's hurting them financially. It's hurting them a lot. So if you want to help them, you certainly can. Yeah, and they are running short on funds. They need help. They do have a GoFundMe. And if you want to help out, you can certainly do so. But again, go to my website, Bishop James Long, LONG, follow that up with a .com, and click on the fundraiser link and scroll down, and you'll see right there, MKS Kids Foundation. It's just one of those things. It's like, come on. So if you can help them out, that would be wonderful. They are in Africa. And I know there, look, there's a lot of fraud all over the world, all over the world. I have checked this organization out. So I have a friend of mine who that is in Uganda. He is a bishop. And before I went public, started helping them and even donating all my money that I would make to the books that I sell, I said, I want to see if these guys are legitimate. So I had my bishop friend check them out. And he said, yeah, they're small fish in a big pond. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, they're making, they're making some waves, but they're struggling. So they are legitimately helping. I mean, they are. And what I love about it is Abraham, the director, the young man, was also homeless himself. And so I think that's just beautiful. Again. All right. So one more time, I'm going to say it one more. That's it. We're done. TikTok, if you're going to come in and troll, you're not going to get my attention. No one's going to think you're clever because you're being rude and nasty and a horrible person. You're just going to be blocked. Plain and simple. I know that there's a lot of Jerry Springer mentality out there on TikTok. Here, you're not applauded. You're blocked. So just let me know if you would. Moderators, if it gets to be too much, I'll put some chat on. But I'd rather not. But if it gets to be to a point where it's out of control, you guys don't see it, but I see block, 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 block. So it's ridiculous. Okay. Thank you. Let's go. Friday the 13th. No, I have not seen it, guys. I don't really have a whole lot of time to watch things, interviews and things like this, but maybe if I have time, but right now I don't have the time. Let's go into this, folks. It is Friday the 13th. There is a day that is seared into human fear, a day so cursed that centuries of legends, rumors, and nightmares have wrapped around it like a suffocating shroud. Now, you've heard the stories, Friday the 13th, but few actually understand how this date became the cursed anchor of terror that it's today. It's not just superstition. It's a dark thread that really is deeply embedded into the history. It's a nightmare born from blood and chaos that refuses to let go. So the roots of this fear, it stretched back over thousands of years, a time when the world was a darker, more brutal place. See, to the ancient Norse, the number 13 was associated with chaos and death. And legend has it that Loki, the Norse god of mischief and madness, was the uninvited 13th guest at a divine banquet, forever making 13 as the number of a betrayal and destruction. So that night, chaos erupted. Loki unleashed havoc, thank you, and the gods of Valhalla were forever haunted by the symbolism of the unnumbered, the outsider that brought in ruin. So people were asking, what about this 13? We'll get to that. We'll get to the nights, I promise you. But the true fuse was lit during the medieval history when the terrible crucifixion, we all know, and the Knights Templar, we all know that as well. But Jesus' crucifixion took place on a Friday. Now, for generations, Christians believed that Friday was the day when evil unleashed upon the world, a day that was cursed by divine wrath, a day when spirits of darkness roam free and shadows too thick to see clearly. So combine that with 13, long vilified as the number of the devil, you have a lethal cocktail of superstition and dread. So over the centuries, stories of death and disaster and chaos became linked to this day. Medieval Europeans believed Friday the 13th was cursed. They avoided everything, journeys, births. They whispered that evil spirits and demons, restless ghosts awaken on that day. Now, hospitals and even royal courts would delay births, thank you, and travelers would cross themselves before even daring to step outside. I mean, people truly believed this. And as the civilization rose and fell, the sinister association deepened, fueled by stories of cursed ships lost at sea, bloody battles, unalivings that all seemed to converge on this day. So the fear became a mirror reflecting mankind's deepest anxieties about death, chaos, even the unknown. So today, the dread persists, rooted in those dark centuries. So whether born of blood, religion, or primal fear of extinction itself, Friday the 13th stands as a monument, an ominous sign that danger and darkness are never far behind. Perhaps deep within us, we still feel the ancient terror that in some shadows, the uninvited 13th guest awaits, creeping just beyond our sight, waiting to tear within us the thin veneer of our reality. So prepare yourselves tonight, my friends. This is the one night of the week. One night. Everyone just take a chill pill and just drink a wine cooler. Yes, a wine cooler. Oh my gosh, a wine cooler. You shouldn't drink. Then if you shouldn't drink, Jesus would not change the water into wine. Nonetheless, just relax. One night a week, we talk about the paranormal. That's it. So tonight we delve into the horrors of what makes this day so cursed. How history, legend, and mankind's deepest fears have conspired to make Friday the 13th the most terrifying date in human superstition. Now, one thing we're going to do is I'm going to give a presentation about some of the very scary historical events that have occurred on this day. And then we're going to talk about superstitions on Friday the 13th. Now, for those of you who don't know, Miss Wilma, God rest her soul, she was very superstitious. And she believed with all her heart that Friday the 13th was nothing to play around with. So I have a lot of superstitions that she talked to us about one time on the show. I'm going to be presenting some of those. And we're going to have a good time. That's it. We'll just have a good time. And thank you guys very much. For those of you who are on TikTok, if you offer gifts, I don't thank you. I do apologize just because I run the presentation on two computers. And this is my main computer here that I run it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other formats. And then here. So please know that I have 8 chat rooms open plus TikTok. Okay. Miss Wilma's in heaven. So she passed away. All right. So let's go. Friday the 13th is where nightmares breathe. Shadows stretch beyond the limits of your mind. So tonight we're going to step into the darkness, into a world haunted by blood, betrayal, supernatural terror. Tonight we unlock the horrors of the cursed date, Friday the 13th, an evil that whispers through history like a blackened, blood-stained shadow. A day that's soaked in suffering, haunted by restless spirits, cursed with events so terrifying that they really truly defy logic. So for centuries, this date has been cloaked in dread. Whispers speak of horrors unseen, spirits awakened, the veil between the worlds growing thin. Tonight, I'm going to unveil some stories, uncut, terrifying, real, historical stories that will make your blood run cold and your soul tremble. So turn the lights off, lock your doors, and prepare, because what you're about to hear might shatter your sense of security and wake the dead. I'm not kidding you. Miss Wilma, thank you very much for ordering that, Janet. Miss Wilma was truly terrified of Friday the 13th. So let's begin by delving into the roots of this cursed superstition, where bloodshed, treachery, supernatural darkness really have left their mark. So the fear of the number 13 has haunted humanity for millennia. In ancient Babylon, 13, was an omen of chaos. And as I mentioned, the Norse myth of Loki, the trickster god, arriving uninvited as a feast of 12 gods, ending in bloodshed, gave the number of a sinister reputation. So the idea that 13 is a harbinger of doom, it really is deeply embedded in our collective consciousness. So the number 13, long cursed, long feared, has haunted humankind since recorded history. In ancient civilization, you have to understand, 12 was considered divine perfection. In ancient times, 12 gods, 12 months, 12 hours of the day. The 13th are uninvited, disruptive force, threaten the natural order. Again, I'm talking about ancient times. And then there's Friday, the day of suffering, sacrifice, and death. So in Christian tradition, it's the day Jesus was crucified. That's only part of the story. The true horror was cemented on Friday the 13th, a day that became the epicenter of catastrophe, cursed by blood and bound by supernatural terror. So across centuries, on this cursed day, countless horrific events, both earthly and supernatural, have darkened history's pages. First, let's talk about the blood red roots, the Knights Templar massacre. One of the earliest and most terrifying historical events linked to Friday the 13th, and it was quite terrible, was the mass unaliving, I have to say unaliving for TikTok rules and regulations, of the Knights Templar on October 13th. Well, thank you, there we are. 1307. And under the orders of King Philip IV of France, hundreds of Templar knights, wealthy, secretive, very powerful, they were betrayed, tortured, and burned alive. Many believe their curses still linger, haunting the very stones of the medieval prisons and castles. You got to imagine a moonless October night, dark as imagine you can possibly think of. And in 1307, the air is thick with dread. And King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt, consumed by greed, orders the arrest of the mighty Knights Templar. Because they were wealthy, they were secretive warriors that he was deeply indebted to, thank you. And they were sworn to protect sacred relics. So on that fateful Friday the 13th, hundreds of Templar knights are betrayed, they were kidnapped, tortured, they were burned alive. And their screams echo through the stone walls of Paris, their blood seeping into the very ground. Many believe that their cursed legacy still lingers there. Spirits of betrayed warriors, blood-soaked phantoms haunting the ruins of their prisons, forever seeking vengeance. The next true story, and again, there are a lot of historical events that happen on Friday the 13th. These are just a few that I only have time for. So fast forward to 1349, during the dark days of the Black Death, a plague that wiped out a third of Europe's population. Friends, you have to remember, the death toll was incalculable, suffering unimaginable. But what is less known is the eerie stories that emerged of the dead and the spirits that refused to rest. On Friday, October 13th, 1349, reports flooded in of ghostly figures, thank you, wandering the streets. Their faces were twisted in agony and eyes were hollow, black as coal. Villagers actually whispered of the spirits of those buried in mass graves, their vengeful wails echoing through the night. As a matter of fact, there was one account states that on a cursed Friday the 13th, I saw the spirits rise from the graves, ghostly figures with rotten flesh, reaching out with skeletal hands, clawing at the living, begging for release from their torment. See, the Black Death's dark energies seem to awaken a supernatural plague. Spirits of the dead, restless, furious, haunting the living. The next true story, the Salem witch trials. In 1692, Salem's streets ran red with fear and blood. A wave of hysteria turned neighbor against neighbor, accused of witchcraft, condemned to death. Many victims were hung or burnt alive on Friday the 13th, sealing the day's reputation of a portal for evil. So eyewitnesses tell of seeing ghostly figures in the mist, their faces twisted in terror and rage, reaching out for justice and vengeance. Yeah, there's so many stories. A matter of fact, there's one story, one person recounts on that cursed Friday, I saw the spirit of a woman in chains, her face contorted in agony, reaching out from the gallows, her eyes burned with fury. Her ghostly wails echo through the night, calling for justice that would never come. Yeah, and Lizzie Borden. The next terrible story. In 1770, a great fire of London. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, we are going to a new network and we'll be starting that next Friday. Looking forward to that. A blazing inferno in London, September 2nd, 1770. The city was engulfed in flames, burning for days, destroying centuries of history. But witnesses claim that the fire was no ordinary accident. See, in the smoke and chaos, people say ghostly figures appeared, specters of the victims of the fire, their faces twisted in horror, terror, reaching out from the burning ruins. Now, some say, the new network, online network. Now, some say the flames themselves danced with dark spirits summoned by the city's sins. And on a cursed Friday the 13th, their restless souls roamed the ruins. Their voices whisper throughout the ash. One witness said, "I saw shadowy figures emerging from the flames, faces twisted with fear, calling out for salvation. The fire was cursed. The spirits of the dead still haunt the ruins, especially on this accursed day." Guys, for those of you just joining us, I'm Bishop Long, and tonight is our one night where we talk paranormal. So it's a secular fun show. Okay? So hopefully you're all enjoying this scary Friday the 13th. Okay. Let's talk about the 1912 Titanic story. Now, we all know the story of the Titanic. April 14th and 15th, 1912. But Friday the 13th, when the Titanic, the grandest ship ever built at that time, sank into the icy Atlantic. Now, many survivors claim that the night was haunted long before the iceberg struck. It's April 15th, 1912, early morning after setting sail on her maiden voyage, the Titanic struck an iceberg, but the tragedy's beginning was on the night of April 14th and Friday the 13th when the ship was cruising through icy waters. Passengers and crew swore they saw ghostly sailors on deck, faint figures in an old-fashioned uniform waving frantically, warning of the impending disaster. Others report hearing disembodied voices, whispering warnings in the dark, as if the ship itself was cursed to sink. That night, there's a woman, says that night I saw a woman dressed in white standing at the bow, staring into the icy water. Her hollow eyes seemed to plead for help. Then she vanished into the fog, leaving me trembling, as cold as death itself. So the Titanic's watery grave is haunted by these spectral warnings. Yeah, it's some of this, if you really think about, this is the Titanic in of itself. Terrible story. Terrible, absolutely horrible story. But these things, when you break it down and you listen to it, it's like, well, goodness gracious. Okay. Let me open this up. All right. Let's talk now the 1941 London Blitz. Ghosts of the Burning City. So during the restless Germany bombing raids, London was reduced to rubble. But on a particular cursed Friday the 13th, the city's spirits grew restless. On a Friday in September 1941, London was bombed relentlessly during the Blitz. But some accounts say that on Friday the 13th, the night of a particularly devastating raid, the city's spirits were awakened in a way never seen before. So witnesses spoke of seeing ghostly figures, children, soldiers, civilians, trapped in the flames and their faces twisted in terror. Some say that the spirits of those unalived in the fires and bombs still walk the ruins. There are mournful cries echoing through the night. A historian recounts, on that cursed night, I saw a figure draped in flames, haunting the ruins. It looked at me with hollow eyes and vanished into the smoke. I believe the spirits of those lost in the Blitz are more restless on Friday the 13th, the person said. Another witness said, I saw a figure, a child in tattered clothes, standing amidst the burning debris, eyes wide with horror. And when I reached out, it faded into smoke. The spirits of the Blitz are more restless, more vengeful on this cursed day. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things. Again, for those, I'm not going to keep saying this. I'm Bishop Long. We're having Paranormal Friday night. We're just enjoying a Friday night. It's Friday the 13th. Relax. So, by the way, here's another one. 1959, Dyatlov Pass incident. That was terrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, this is our Paranormal Friday nights. I've done a presentation on this before, and I'm telling you guys, the Dyatlov Pass, I am convinced it was not because of an avalanche. That's absurd. That's absurd. If you want to just go to the web, just go to the church site. Otherwise, we're going to block you. All right. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers disappeared in the Ural Mountains, and their bodies were found mangled. Some with bizarre injuries, skull fractures, broken ribs, internal trauma without external cause. Now, there were a lot of theories that were abound. There was a secret military test, alien encounters, cursed spirits. Again, folks, let me just make this very clear. Elizabeth, you obviously were just joining us. I have 8 different chats open. I wasn't speaking to you, so maybe you should chill. So I have a computer here and I have a computer here, and I have 8 different chats going on at the same time. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome. See, I like that. Elizabeth thought I was speaking to her, and she's like, look, just chill, and she apologized. I like that. That's very nice. Very cool. Thank you, Elizabeth. In 1959, the Dyatlov Pass incident, Siberia's terrible secret. I don't believe this was an avalanche. Strangest of all, the deaths occurred in a manner so horrific that many people believe supernatural forces were at play. Forces awakened or summoned on a day just like this. Now get this. One researcher states that the night they passed away, a strange cold wind swept through the pass, which was true. Some say that a supernatural force opened a portal, one that unleashes horrors every Friday the 13th. Now, yeah, we do a one night a week on Friday. We do our Paranormal Fridays. Some of them are very serious, scary Fridays on Paranormal. Some of them are more, tongue-in-cheek, kind of a good time. But every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our Paranormal Friday show, where we just have a good time. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I tell you what, you rock, girl. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate everybody being here on this Friday the 13th. By the way, I was going to bring the doll. For those of you who don't know, I was on the show, a cast member on Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcists show. It's streaming on all the platforms. And there's the doll that I had that they did an episode on. And I thought I was going to bring it, but I thought, no. Because, and I'll tell you why. So, thank you. I don't necessarily believe in superstitions, but let me tell you what happened. I went out to my car this morning because I was going to get the doll and bring the doll here and put it on display for the Friday the 13th show. Put my key in the ignition, dead. Car is dead. Now, I've never had a problem ever with the battery, ever. And it just absolutely, and I was going to get the doll. I had to get the car jumped. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to push it. Oh, it's not in the car. I didn't pick it up. Because I didn't, but folks, I'm thinking, so next Friday is our brand new, no, that's true. It is true. Let me tell you something about this doll. If you have not seen it, I was on my way to go get it. So for those of you who don't know, I strongly encourage you to watch the episode. So next Friday, hopefully I'm going to have Willie Windwalker on. No, life coach. That's on Wednesdays for Bible study. So hopefully I'm going to have Willie Windwalker on, and we're going to talk about haunted items and demonic cases. And I am planning to bring several of these items for the show next week. And the doll will be here with us. So I'm just letting you know that it will be next week, because that'll be on the brand new radio network, online network. The Unexplained Network is what it is. And so we're looking forward to that. Okay, let's get into the Ludlow Massacre. Oh, boy. The Ludlow Massacre. 1914. It was a cold pitch Black Friday, September the 13th, 1914. The earth drank in the blood of innocent people. The Ludlow Massacre is an act of brutal violence, became a nightmarish tale of pain, suffering, and death. Soldiers and men in uniform, indiscriminately, they did terrible things on defenseless families. Can't say it because I'll get banned on TikTok. Their cries drowned out by the crackling of those things, and the thunder of chaos. Some say as the dust settled, the cries faded into silence. The ground itself seemed to mourn. Whispering voices, barely audible, wail in the dark. Pew-pews. And remnants of the bleeding spirits of those unalived, many people say, never rest. Locals actually tell today of shadowy figures seen wandering in the dust-blown hills, and their faces contorted with grief. And on some nights, the faint whispers of children's laughter, haunted and hollow, float through the air, echoing a scream that ended too soon. The next very sad story of 1930. Yep. Well, Grace, we welcome you, and you're more than welcome to join us when we pray tonight for people who have cancer and who are terminally ill, as we do every night. The bus crash in Panama, 1965. It's a mountain steeped, unforgiving, claimed dozens of lives. On October 13, 1965, a bus carrying children plunged into darkness, to the abyss. What followed was a nightmare caught between worlds. Survivors swore they saw ghostly children in the wreckage. Some say their anguish screams still echo through the mountain shadows. And visitors claim that to feel icy fingers brushing their shoulders on that mountain's cold slope. Some even glimpsed hazy, childlike figures standing silently at the edge of the woods, waiting and watching, forever trapped in the moment of terror. It's a place that many people believe is cursed, haunted by those who perished in the darkness. That's terrible. The next was a 1945, the Thornton Heath fire. So at a time when hope was fading and darkness was falling, a blazing hell storm erupted in Thornton Heath. The flames roared like the cries of the damned, swallowing everything in a hellish fury. Firemen fought desperately into the inferno. Terrible. Families were trapped. Some say, amid the flickering shadows and choking smoke, they saw figures rising in the flames. On certain nights, long after the last ember died, residents report seeing ghostly apparitions, flickering flames with no source. In 2018, the Mumbai building collapse. In a city that never sleeps on a dark October night, a building crumbled, devoured in seconds by an unthinkable nightmare. The screams of those trapped beneath the rubble are etched into eternity. Rescue workers crawling through the wreckage whisper of shadowy figures seen in the debris. Phantoms of those who perished, their eyes hollow. Families waited helplessly, listening to the faint, distant cries of loved ones. And even now, shadows move, many people say, where the ruins were. Some say that the building itself was cursed, built on sacred ground, infested with restless spirits hungry for vengeance. Perhaps, perhaps not. In 2014, I've never been on a cruise, but one day I'm going to go on a cruise. I absolutely want to make that happen. But there was a terrible cruise ship fire. November 13th, 2014, aboard a cruise ship in Las Palmas, an inferno of hellish proportion. The flames erupted suddenly, turning the luxury vessel into a floating hellscape. Passengers screamed, trying desperate to escape the devouring fire, and many were trapped, victims of an evil that seemed to whisper amid the crackling flames. Rescuers report hearing faint whispers amid the rubble, the voices of the trapped calling out in despair, some shadowy figures, some people say, and they saw that flickering in the smoke. Even long after it was put out, strange lights flickered in the wreckage, people say. Ghostly apparitions. Was this an accident, or did malevolent forces take hold on that cursed vessel? The next one is a very, very interesting one. And this was and there's so many more. There's so much more that we're not even touching. So much more. Okay. The Black Dragon Society unaliving attempt, 1920s and 30s. During the turbulent years of the 20th century political upheaval, clandestine whispers tell of the Black Dragon Society, a secret society of extremists intent on unleashing chaos. Though many of their plots failed, some stories suggest their attempts of unaliving went beyond mere political violence. They included supposedly cursed rituals, occult symbols, covert dark sacrifices. Some believe that their failed attempts inadvertently unsealed the malevolent force. The most frightening aspect of the historical whispers is the idea that some of these failed plots were no accidents. Rumors claim that certain unaliving and attempted unalivings were directed not just by men, but by supernatural beings, demons or spirits summoned from the depths of darkness, and watcher-like entities that seemed to glide from the shadows and vanish before they could recognize. On a Friday the 13th, one attempt was so severe that many innocent were unalived. In 1974, there was a mysterious hospital fire. October 13, 1974. A fire tore through a mental health ward in Glasgow. The flames erupted without warning, engulfing the wing in a matter of minutes. The screams of patients trapped in their cells, unable to escape the inferno, echoed through the stone walls, an unholy chorus, despair and terror. Firefighters found twisted, charred bodies, some still clutching the bars of their cells, and others found with a look of pure horror frozen on their faces. The cause of the fire actually remains shrouded in mystery. Some whispering about a sabotage or dark forces at play. Some eyewitnesses reported strange phenomena during the fire. Staff and rescuers recall hearing inexplicable whispers, ghostly footsteps amid the chaos, and more unsettling, some saw shadowy figures moving through the flames. In 1934, the Night of the Long Knives, though primarily remembered for the infamous purge by a particular German leader in 1940s, some lesser-known stories suggest darker, more supernatural undercurrents. During the violent chaos of the purge, whispers spread of strange phenomena. Whispers in the night, ghostly apparitions sing among the chaos. It said that some of the unaliving victims or entities associated with these dark rituals still haunt that day. What amplifies the terror is the rumor that certain victims of the purge possessed a cursed essence, an unearthly darkness. Happened on Friday the 13th. On September the 13th, 2009, a sudden and mercilessly earthquake struck Indonesia, Java Island, leveling entire neighborhoods in a matter of seconds. Buildings crumbled into dust. Families were torn apart in the blink of an eye. Many residents were taught, to run and get out of their house, but unfortunately they were caught in their beds or the streets, unable to escape. The ground itself seemed alive, swallowing villages and trapping countless victims in darkness and rubble. What makes this event truly frightening isn't just the destruction, but the way it felt like a malicious intent. Some people say it was like a force so cold and unfeeling that it seemed to have its own appetite for death. Some survivors claim to have seen shadowy figures. Rumors persist that beneath the surface lies ancient spirits disturbed by the quake. Maybe, maybe not. In the shadows of the majestic Mount Fuji looms a place of darkness and dread, a domain where the living fear to tread and the dead find no solace. Thank you very much. The Oikigahara Forest, something that I've presented before, also known as the Sea of Trees, is a cursed expanse of gnarled branches, twisted roots, a haunting landscape that mocks the brightness of the sun with its eerie gloom. You step foot into this ancient woodland, and you may find yourself ensnared in malevolent embrace. Now, legend has it that Okigahara is a place where lost souls beckon the shadows, where the anguished cries of the departed echo through the dense foliage. The air is heavy. Now, as you wander deep into the heart of the forest, the trees close in all around you. Supposedly, they're twisted forms seeming to reach out with ghostly fingers. Now, you might say, well, what does this have to do with Friday the 13th? Well, there was a testimony of one individual who said, I entered the infamous unaliving forest on Friday the 13th, expecting silence. But what I encountered was a nightmare. Shadows darted between the trees, tall, dark figures with glowing eyes. I heard whispers, pleas, screams, curses rising from the depths of the forest. I felt unseen hands clutching at my ankles, pulling me into darkness. I ran, but the whispers followed me. Another person said, I was sleeping. They had a tent. So when you go to the Oikigahara forest, many people will tie a ribbon where you leave the path and you go deep into the forest just in case you change your mind. And so they go deep into the forest, and sometimes they have tents and sometimes they don't. Well, this person said that they had a tent because they were considering, and they were sleeping when they felt their presence, dark, heavy, oppressive. I looked up to see a towering shadow with burning red eyes, and leaning over my sleeping bag, it whispers was like 1,000 voices, languages I didn't understand. Person said I tried to scream, but my voice was swallowed by darkness. It touched my face with icy fingers, then vanished. This was on a Friday the 13th. This person said, I haven't had peace since. I believed it was the spirit of someone who'd passed away on the Friday the 13th, calling me into the void. This is, the Okigahara forest is no joke. Now, there's several testimonies that I found from people who talked about their experience on Friday the 13th. The haunted house in Georgia says, I moved into an old farmhouse on Friday the 13th, not knowing its dark history. And that night, I was awoken by scratching sounds at the window. When I looked, I saw a shadowed face pressed against the glass, eyes staring into mine. Says I couldn't breathe. The face smiled, then dissolved into mist. I never slept that night, and every night after, I heard footsteps, whispers calling my name. I've never been the same. Another testimony said that it was late on a Friday the 13th when objects started flying across the room. Chairs, glasses, pictures, everything was moving on its own. Saw a translucent figure of a woman in a white, her face twisted in agony. She reached out to me, then faded away. I felt her cold breath on my neck, Since then, I can't escape her shadow. That person went to the a haunted location. This individual says, I was walking through a forest in the dead of night on Friday the 13th. Hello. And when I saw a tall, shadowy figure blocking my path, its eyes glowing red, I felt an icy coldness steep into my bones. I froze, unable to move, as it stepped closer, reaching out with dark fingers. Then I woke up, alone, trembling. I knew it was a warning. So why does Friday the 13th inspire such terror? Why do stories of hauntings and unalivings and curses grow darker every year? Humans are pattern seekers. When tragedy or death occurs on a specific day, our minds latch onto it, sometimes creating superstitions. And confirmation biases, makes us remember disasters, plane crashes, unaliving, ghost sightings that happen on this day. So while ignoring the hundreds that pass peacefully. And media, movies, stories, legends, and further cement the day's reputation. Of course, think of Friday the 13th horror franchise. The image of Jason Voorhees lurking in the darkness, silent, restless, has become the symbol of unrelenting dread. Now, we're creatures of pattern and fear. So when tragedy and death or horror happen on a certain day, our minds latch onto it, creating superstitions that grow darker with each retelling. And I think confirmation bias fuels our dread. We remember the disasters, the plane crashes, the unalivings, the hauntings that happen. And sometimes we forget the countless Fridays that pass quietly. But what do occultists say? Now, many cultists say that Friday the 13th is a portal, a thin place where the fabric of, if you will, the veil between death and living is most vulnerable. Malevolent spirits are more active, the occultists say, seeking to feed on our fear. Cursed sites, battlefields, ancient cemeteries, cursed artifacts. They're gateways for spirits and demons to cross into our realm. And cosmic imbalances, many people who are occultists say that it's disruption in the universe's energy. Allow dark forces to seep through the cracks. And again, as I said, some occultists say, which is true because I interviewed them for the show. Anyway, some believe that every ghostly encounter, every shadow seen in the corner of your eye is a sign that the supernatural forces are their strongest, especially on this cursed day. I want to talk about in 1888, London was gripped by terror. We understand that Jack the Ripper. Women were found unalived in alleyways in the Whitechapel, victims of a terrible person known as only Jack the Ripper. Many believe that Jack's spirit still haunts the alleyways, especially on Friday the 13th. Witnesses claim to see a shadowy figure lurking in the fog every Friday the 13th. One person said, I saw a dark figure, stained with blood-stained apron, its eyes burned with fury, vanished into the fog. The next, in 1919, the Chicago White Sox players conspired to throw the World Series, an act of treachery that shook America. But strange rumors surround that day, especially in the shadowed corners of its history. Some say the cursed spirits, vengeful, bloodthirsty, possessed the players, whispering promises of riches and power, only to condemn their souls. Reports tell of ghostly apparitions at the stadium, shadowy figures watching. One sports writer said, on that cursed Friday, I saw a ghostly figure, tall and dark, standing behind the players, whispering in their ears. I believe dark forces cursed those men. It's kind of crazy, if you really think about it. So tonight, you may feel icy breaths on your neck and see shadows flicker at the edge of your vision, or hear whispers calling your name in the darkness. But remember, the shadows only have power if you give it to them. So shine your light, your courage, your will, and they'll fade into the void. The true nightmare is what lies within you. Perhaps, maybe some of you have a little bit of Friday the 13th frightening in you, or perhaps not. But I want to talk now about some superstitions. And in a moment, I'm going to have to restart on, I'm going to do this now on Insta to the gram. Oh, I wasn't even on Insta to the gram. Okay. So now here we go. Let's go into some of the superstitions. Now, there are people that are absolutely no, we're not doing that, Alexander. And I'm going to get your account banned because that is a yep. No, he needs to be. No, I blocked him. Folks, anybody who says inbox me and I will gift you, that is 100%. 100%. It is a terrible thing. Stay away from it. What they do is when you inbox them, they steal they take your account. So they're worse than spammers. They're con men. So don't do that. So if you ever see anybody, it is a scam. Yep. If you ever see someone say, "Oh, if you the first 5 people inbox me and I'll give you a gift," that's a scam. So don't even mess with them. Block them. Okay. Let's talk about some superstitions on this day. This is a day that's whispered in terror across centuries. Said to be when evil awakens, whispers terror across centuries. Now, across history, human beings have revered, even feared, this day. So let's listen closely for what perhaps maybe will reveal, may shatter your sense of safety. Here are some superstitions. Number 1, people say avoid travel on this day. Centuries ago in ancient Europe, that's funny. I just started Insta to the gram, and now it says, "Oh, you got to redo it." I don't know why. Instagram is so stupid. I don't like Instagram at all. But people keep saying, "Oh, can you please run it? Can you please run it?" And then they never show up. All right. I just don't like it. That is one. I don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But let me redo it, because every hour you have to stop what you're doing just to start the show again. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't like it. I might just get rid of it altogether because it just blah. Okay, let's go into some superstitions. All right. Centuries ago in ancient Europe, it was believed that the roads and rivers on Friday the 13th, they were cursed pathways, haunted gateways through which malevolent spirits could slip into our world. So ancient tribes whispered of shadowy beings lurking along long, lonely routes, fiendish entities eager to claim the souls of travelers. So why did this start? Well, some say it's because countless travelers vanished without explanation on this day. Their bodies never found. Others believe that from the dawn of recorded history, the number 13 was cursed, representing chaos, disorder, and death. So while Friday bears the name of the goddess Freya, associated with both love and war, but also death. So legend warns, if you undertake a journey today, you're risking encounters with unseen horrors, phantoms, demons, ancient spirits. Well, I tried to go today and my battery was dead in my car. Hello. It's a day when roads are allegedly unsafe and dark whispers from depths call travelers to their doom. The next superstition, don't make major decisions on this day. Now, across many centuries, the Friday the 13th is a day when really the veil between the dead and living grows thin. But making a decision, like getting married, signing a contract, starting a new job, on this day, it's thought to attract chaos, misfortune, and doom. So where did this curse originate? Well, old stories tell of ancient clans of tribes who believed that on this day, the spirits of chaos sought to influence human affairs. So it's said that during this cursed hour, the very threads of fate are manipulated by malevolent beings. Now, many warn, if you sow your seeds of hope today, know that the darkness might twist your intentions. turning dreams into nightmares. People who dare decide on this day are said to be cursed, for their choices or twisted. Now, Miss Wilma believed in these. Avoid locking or unlatching doors. Oh, listen. I'm going to lock my door whether you like it or not, superstition or not. But believe it or not, there's a dark tradition that says on Friday the 13th, the threshold between the worlds, the doorway of your home, is sacred. To lock or unlock a door today is to disturb forces that dwell beyond our realm. Why? Because ancient cultures believe that doors are gateways. They are portals through which spirits and demons can slip into our world. So the superstition is rooted in old stories. When you lock a door, you might trap a spirit inside, angling for revenge, waiting patiently for its chance to torment the living. Conversely, unlatching a door invites darkness in, opening an unseen hellmouth in your home. So some say that in old haunted homes, the spirits kept locked in walls or basements grow restless. I've seen this before in some, you probably have seen it too. In some scary movies, they will have a door and they'll have chains all around it. And what happens? Well, let's open this door. And then all hell breaks loose. Now, Miss Wilma said this was true. Do not cut your nails or your hair on Friday the 13th. To cut your nails or hair on Friday the 13th was believed to set loose a curse, a long-held dread that malevolent spirits and dark entities could seize the fragments and unleash havoc upon the living. Superstitions say that these body parts, especially when cut on a haunted day, like chaos, are like keys, unlocking gates for evil forces that lurk in the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. Some stories tell of cursed hair or nails buried with the dead or hidden beneath ancient stones. So beware the scissors, for in your hands they may open a doorway, a wrong one, and release terrors beyond your understanding. sorry, they're golden. Golden said, you just cut your nails and you're in trouble. Okay, again, this is all good. Do I believe in these? No, I don't. I don't necessarily believe in them, but they're still fun to talk about and to share. Now, on Friday the 13th, you're not supposed to wash your clothes or linens. Throughout history, water has been seen as a carrier of spirits, conduit of the unseen. So on Friday the 13th, washing clothes, linens, fabric, any fabric, is believed to wash away your luck, invite a terrible unseen evil into your home. And I'm curious if you guys believe in this. Old superstitions say that rinsing or cleaning in this dark hour stirs the restless spirits trapped within the very being of this our existence, and spirits that cling to life and blood or curses. So when you wash, you're not just cleansing your linens. Some believe you're cleansing away your protection, unraveling your good fortune, and unleashing unseen horrors. So you just have to go around smelling badly if you need to wash your clothes. Now, the next one is whistling at night. I mean, it is night. It is Friday the 13th. So among some ancient superstitions, one stood very clear. Whistling at night on Friday the 13th awakens something terrible. Why? Because whistling is believed to be a siren's call, an unholy signal that beckons shadow spirits, demons, and restless ghosts from their slumber. See, in old tales, spirits and demons are drawn to noise, especially the sound of innocence like whistling. It's as if, and several of you are whistling right now. I guarantee you, several of you, you know it. I guarantee you guys are whistling right now, aren't you? You guys are, a bunch of you are like, yep. I think you'll be okay, Christina. So many claim to have heard whispers of unseen voices responding to the call, luring, tempting, mocking those who dare to whistle beneath this cursed sky. Whistling may seem harmless, but in the shadows, it's seen as summoning. So they say don't whistle tonight unless you want the darkness to know your name. Next, and imposed cursed objects or symbols. In other words, in darkness, magic and superstitions intertwine. Objects imbued with curses, symbols, or evil crafted in the shadows. So some say that cursed relics, amulets, symbols have a dark history, originating from blood sacrifices, ancient pacts, demonic offerings. On Friday the 13th, the power of these objects is said to intensify, ready to unleash chaos if disturbed. Old tales tell of relics buried beneath ancient ruins, objects that, when unearthed, release dark energies, possessiveness, bloodthirsty spirits. Many believe that ancient symbols, such as inverted crosses or pentagrams, are far more dangerous on this day, capable of opening doors to hell or awakening entities best left undisturbed. Some of you may say this is ridiculous. Some of you may agree with it. Breaking mirrors. Breaking mirrors. Now, on this day, it's a big no-no. A shattered mirror is more than just a broken glass. Many people say it is a portal. For centuries, superstitions have warned that breaking a mirror on Friday the 13th unleashes 7 years of bad luck, but beneath that lies a deeper, darker terror. Ancient cultures believed that mirrors did not merely reflect our image, they captured our souls, our essence. So, well, yeah, Erie, that's why I'm not a Roman Catholic, but okay. So if you're trying to troll, you're trolling the wrong clergy. Gone. Anyway, to shatter one was to release the trapped spirit, setting those loose for vengeful apparition that would haunt you for years. People say that in the moment of destruction, in the moment of destruction, the spirit world stirs. USOCC.org is, we've mentioned that quite often. If you guys go to USOCC.org, it's in the name, United States Old Catholic Church. So people say that in the moment of destruction, a spirit world stirs. Some believe that the fragments contain remnants of the mirror's curse. Spotting spectral phantoms still stalk the living. For every crack, every shatter awakens shadows of the depths and darkness. God has not forsaken you, we forsake God. Now, some people say don't invite guests uninvited. In other words, superstition teaches that on Friday the 13th, inviting uninvited guests, strangers, even friends, can open the doors to darkness. So many old legends say that malevolent spirits and vengeful entities lurk beyond human perception. Sure. Waiting for an invitation to cross into our world. In old rites, summoning the spirits was dangerous enough. Welcoming an unknown guest that's uninvited, especially on this cursed day, no. So people can't, if they just come knocking on your door and they're uninvited, nope. Superstition says you can't invite them in. Avoid starting new projects or livelihoods. We kind of talked about that earlier. Don't visit cemeteries or graves. One of the most ancient fears associated with Friday the 13th is disturbing the resting dead. Visiting cemeteries or graveyards on this day is believed to awaken restless spirits, enraged, vengeful, and hungry. Old superstitions say that graveyards are the gatekeepers of the twilight realm, a place where the dead linger, bound by earth and shadow. On this cursed day, the barrier between life and death thins, and spirits long trapped in their tombs become hungry for life. Some tell of spirits emerging from graves, seeking vengeance against the living who disturb their peace. But respect the dead. Even if you go, disrespect. Disrespect the dead. There's more, and we'll get into some, but I want to get into some of our very cool articles that we have, and we have a few more that we'll throw in from time to time. But right now, let's go into our articles, our paranormal articles. I hate when that does that. And then we can chat about that. So if you have questions, I'll be happy to entertain some of your questions while I am setting this up for our fun-filled, exciting 1 second. I was thinking about it. Come on. Okay. Is this a real bishop? Nope. I play one on TV. I play one on TikTok. Yes. For 26 years. So I think so. All right. He's a great actor. Give him an Oscar. Yeah. All right. Or the Black Cat. Yeah. On Friday the 13th. That's a big no-no. Hello. Welcome. Okay. What about having cremains in the room with you? I don't think that's an issue at all, Anne-Marie. I'm so courageous. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, the scariest moment was probably my first exorcism. That was probably the scariest moment. But I tell you what, let me do this. Bear with me for a second. Let me do a couple of these articles because I have to do the paranormal news on Facebook because I always do that. I always make paranormal news after the presentation later on tonight, and I upload that. So let me do that in a moment, and then I promise you I'll get. Well, there you go. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. Wow, that is a leopard. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Person offering great gifts to that. Thank you. Okay, listen to this, everybody. So this is let me set this up. There we go. So this is a paranormal news story of the week. On March 13th, Friday, 2026, TK Randall writes this: an FBI joins the search as mystery of missing USAF general deepens. A retired general, William Neil McCaslin, has many links to government conspiracies and UFO phenomenon. It's a mystery that continues to grip the nation, and now, 2 weeks later, the mysterious disappearance of the 68-year-old seems no closer to being solved. The strangeness began on February the 27th when McCaslin left his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and vanished without a trace, and nobody having seen him at all since that time. Now, according to his wife, he had left home with his phone or his watch, a fact that she found particularly odd because he didn't have it. And he always has his phone. Being an experienced outdoorsman, this isn't something he normally would do. And he also suffers from a medical condition that makes his disappearance even more a concern. Now, according to reports, the lack of progress in finding him has promoted the Federal Bureau of Investigation to get involved in hope of determining what might have happened to him. The only thing we know so far, courtesy of Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, is no evidence of foul play has been found. An appeal for local security footage and witness sightings has gone out across the area. See, back during his U.S. Air Force days, McCaslin was often associated with the UFO phenomenon. He once headed up the Air Force Research Laboratory at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where he managed a $2.2 billion science and technology program. So the base has long been associated with black projects and rumors of reverse-engineered alien technology. It's also the place where the Roswell UFO debris was said to have been taken. And it was also connected to Project Blue Book, which looked at thousands of UFO cases. Now, whether or not any of this has anything to do with his disappearance, however, remains unclear. We certainly do hope that he is found. That's quite a terrifying situation. Thank you. Yeah, that's now this story is absolutely catching a lot of steam. Now, I don't know what's going on here, guys, but something is strange going on in Ohio. And I'm not talking about the way they drive. I'm sorry, folks in Ohio, you guys drive great. But listen to this story. It's true. Okay, our next paranormal story. TK Randall also writes this: a mystery surrounds Bigfoot sightings surge in Portage County, Ohio. Something big has been lurking in the forest of Ohio, and this month, and quite a few people claim to have seen it. Despite a lack of definitive evidence of its existence, Bigfoot continues to remain a fascinating phenomenon, with witnesses continuing to report encounters with large, hairy, bipedal. For those of you in Kentucky, bipedal means standing up on two legs. I'm from Kentucky, I'm allowed to say that. Bipedal creatures roaming the wilds and woodlands of the United States on a regular basis. Now, while such sightings are certainly nothing new or unusual, particularly concentrated spate of such reports in Portage County, Ohio this month has raising eyebrows. See, according to Jeremiah Bryan, host of the Bigfoot Society podcast, the strangeness began with 2 sightings on March the 6th, followed by 2 more on March the 9th. Quote, a guy and his friend were hiking on the Headwaters Trail, and they saw a 10-foot Sasquatch. Bryan told Fox 8's Susan Stratford. When it was grunting at them, it turned its head at the shoulders, not neck, which is an important detail that's crazy. In another incident, a woman saw a large bipedal animal covered in hair running out of the woods. And there was also a report by a man in Newton Township who had been taking his dog for a walk in the early hours of the morning on March 10th when he spotted a 10-foot tall creature at the tree line. Unfortunately, no photographic evidence of these encounters have been forthcoming, but the sheer number of sightings in such a small area over a few days is certainly unusual. The question of exactly what could count for all these reports remains unanswered. Could someone have been pulling a prank? Or did the witnesses genuinely see something strange? I think there's something going on there. I do. I'm a believer that Bigfoot exists. Some people may not be. But there's far too many people. There's far too many people seeing this creature. And there are far too many credible people. And that's important, I think. I've talked about this many, many times before. No. Hold on before you immediately dismiss this. Maybe 10, 15 years. I can't remember how long ago this was. I spoke to a game warden in Alaska. He was a native Alaskan. And he was on the show, and he was absolutely convinced that he saw Bigfoot. And I'll never forget it. I said, well, do you think perhaps maybe, and many of you have heard this story before. I said, well, do you think perhaps maybe it was a bear or a moose? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, listen, I'm a native Alaskan. I live in the woods. I'm a game warden in the state of Alaska. If I don't know the difference between a bear, a moose, and a bipedal 10-foot creature, then I shouldn't be a game warden in the state of Alaska. And I'll never forget that. Because number one, he is not selling books. He's not on television shows. What he saw was this massive bipedal creature. And I think he has nothing to gain by lying. You know, if he was selling a book or something like this, you could say, aha, that's why he's doing it. There's ulterior motives. There is no ulterior motive with him. So therefore, I think to immediately dismiss this and say it's nonsense, I think it's being disingenuous, because there are some people. He is a native Alaskan, and he's a game warden in the state of Alaska. So I think that, quite honestly, in my opinion, should at least garner attention. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Some people disagree. That's fine. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, this is a very interesting story. And then we'll get to your questions. I promise you. Let me just do a couple more, because I always have to do paranormal news segment on TikTok. And that way I can take care of 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, the next paranormal story that I want to share with you, it's a declassified files, details CIA's little-known behavioral control program. Okay, Randa writes this. During the 1950s, the CIA had been working on a program designed to find ways to manipulate people's behavior. It was known as Project Artichoke. It's an endeavor sought to find ways to influence people's minds by hiding behavior-modifying chemicals in everything from food and water to cigarettes and even vaccines. It also looked at ways of modifying behavior through hypnosis, sensory deprivation, gas exposure, and various other methods. Some of the ideas aimed to achieve immediate effect, while others would have taken much longer. The project predates MK Ultra, another secretive and very controversial program from the era which experimented with mind control techniques, often involving unwilling or unknowing human participants. Now, both were a product of the Cold War, a time when paranoia was rife and clandestine ways to manipulate unsuspecting targets considered highly sought after. Now, the US government had believed that the Soviets had already achieved such methods, meaning that finding ways to do the same was deemed high priority. Now, while the files detailing Project Artichoke have been in the public domain for many years, it wasn't until recently that users began circulating them on social media. Today, the idea of putting a secretive mind-altering substance in vaccinations or in food products seems unconscionable. The only difference now is that we are perhaps more suspicious and open to such possibilities. Back in the 1950s and 60s, however, most people would have never expected anything at all. That's quite terrifying. That's kind of scary stuff. I mean, that's not military conspiracy AI. That's legitimate. That is an actual thing that they did. So AI is saying it was conspiracy. It's not. Oh, that was 100%. Yeah. So I don't know. Does the devil know when he will punish you? No, because the actual belief that devil is punishing you in hell is a terrible belief. And actually, if you really think about it, it's absurd from theological perspective. Because if you understood hell, then you would understand the devil is not there as a king. The devil is being punished itself. So the idea that the devil is out there handling punishment in hell and that he rules hell, nope. The devil is being punished as well. People seem to forget that. Kind of scary stuff. Yes, I've seen lots and lots of shadow people. Yeah, lots and lots of shadow people. Okay. So, yep. Here's a last one, and then we're going to get into your questions. TK Randall writes this: a real-life RoboCop could patrol the streets within 5 years. So a sociology and criminal justice professor has predicted that AI and robotics could be the future of law enforcement. The idea of robotic police officers patrolling the streets, identifying suspects, making arrests may not be far from becoming a reality. That is, at least according to Professor Ivan Sun of the University of Delaware, who predicts that this will happen within as little as 5 years. Now, unlike the titular character of the 1980s classics RoboCop, however, these machines won't have a cyborg element, but they will be capable of operating, being completely autonomous. By 2031, Professor Sun predicts that we will see robotic police officers on the streets capable of using facial recognition to identify suspects before chasing them down for a quick arrest. Said the sky is really the limit. Take a robbery, for instance, they could really take control of the scene. They could chase you for 5 miles and they wouldn't get tired. At the same time, while they're chasing the suspect, they can scan the suspect's bio and characteristics. Their AI can detect from 200 meters away if the suspect has a weapon or not. A human officer would not be able to do that, it said. Of course, the very idea of, being chased down and arrested by a robot would raise all manner of social and legal concerns, and the presence of such machines on the streets would likely meet with significant pushback from members of the public. Also, if robots can play the role of police officers, well, it's likely they could be soldiers too. Unfortunately, what people also don't know is recently China, that's right, China has already have these androids, if you will, these robots that they are able to do kung fu. And it was unbelievable. I saw a video of this and I thought this has got to be AI. This is not. It was 100% legitimate. And that was quite startling. Quite startling. Okay, so what are some of your questions? Leon, obviously we can't understand that. So what are some of your questions? And then we'll get into them and go from there. So here's the deal. Learn the sign of the cross? Sure, anyone can do the sign of the cross. I know, Eve, I know there are people that are absolutely gifted. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I personally know them. I also know that there are a lot of people claiming to be gifted who are not. So I would caution people very, very carefully when associating with certain individuals that clearly demonstrate that they're actors. So Mysterious want to know, what are the shadow people? It's interesting because in my investigations, I have seen hundreds of shadow people. I've been at Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky many times. That's where I live in Louisville. And I've been there so many times. I have seen shadow people often, and never have I ever felt threatened at Waverly Hills. Well, at least with shadow people. Now, I've also been on cases where I've seen shadow people and it was very aggressive. So the theory is that shadow people are maybe perhaps spirits, human spirits, whatever it might be, that it's trying to manifest. Others saying that it's demons trying to manifest. The theory really is, there's a lot of theories on shadow people, but I can absolutely say 100% that not all shadow people are evil. I've been in the paranormal field for 35 years. Thank you. And I can absolutely tell you that I've been on many locations where I've seen shadow people and I never felt threatened. So, okay. Okay, well, that's a fair question, but I don't think you can't be angry at God, because God gives you the ability to love someone, and yet that's a blessing in of itself, isn't it? And it's also, we understand that the moment we are conceived is the moment we become terminal. So this is why we understand life is precious. And we also understand that if we want to get to eternity, we have to shed this body, because this body is not me. This vessel will eventually die. We all know this. But my soul is eternal. And so I think we have to be careful with getting angry with God, because this vessel experiences life. I am able to enjoy life and with the senses. But we know that in order for us to get to heaven, we have to depart. So I don't think we should be angry with God, because he gives us a vessel to experience life. That's very precious. And just remember that every one of us, we are all terminal, and that's okay. So, so you're in Ohio? How crazy! Some drivers are. Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah. Yes, I'm absolutely convinced 100% that we have 100% that we have guardian angels. No doubt. I believe so, Jenny. Yes, I performed 34 exorcisms. But I think that's what we have to be careful. We have to be careful with getting angry with God, because God puts people in your life, and you just said you loved them and they loved you. Isn't that a gift? That is a gift. And we can't get angry with God, because God is not ripping that person away from you. Actually, that God is going to allow you to spend eternity with that person, never again, ever being separated from them. So, okay. I've not seen the video, no. The interview, I don't have time to watch interviews, so I just am limited. Constantine has been a long time. Yep, I'm working on a case. I can't talk about it right now, no, Aquarius. Well, no, Allie, you got to understand. I understand, because when you lose someone you love, there are stages of grief, and one of those stages is anger. And so I get it. I understand. I understand. So when someone is angry, that's not they're not a bad person. They're just experiencing the stages of grief. And I think we have to be, understanding of that. So oh yeah, sure, yeah. I get it. But that's the thing. God gives us people in our lives, and we have the ability to love one another, and that's a powerful, powerful expression. And I think that is a gift. That is a priceless gift. And many times, well, we might take not really focus as much as we should on that. For how many people? How many of you know? Well, you have people in your lives, perhaps grandmothers, aunts, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your relatives, your friends. But how many of you stay in contact with them all the time? I mean, the thing is that many times we just kind of go through our cycles of life, and we just kind of stay busy, and we're very focused on got to do X, Y, Z in our schedules. And then before we know it, then the person gets sick. And then we should, I could have, would have, should have, could have. And you got to be careful with that. Because if you do that, you're going to be kicking yourself. But I think we should be very grateful to God that he placed people in our lives to love, and they in return love us, because love is a very, very powerful emotion. And so when that person does pass, we know that we're going to be with them again. So absolutely. I 100% Polish, 100%. Yep. Cremation is acceptable. Well, Pillar, I think you can do that in a meditation, but I don't know if that's really necessary to even know the name. A lot of people want to know the name of guardian angel almost for control. It's not necessary. I don't think that's even necessary. Oh yeah, well, Elena. Right, Ali. I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah, Bryce. Why don't you? Well, this is the paranormal show, but for Friday, attraction is not an evil thing. There's nothing wrong with seeing someone and saying, "Oh, that person is attractive." There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing evil. There's nothing sinful saying, "Well, that person is attractive or attractive." Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when you start about lust. The problem is now you're objectifying that person for personal gratification. So you're basically objectifying that and using that person as a tool, as an object for your sexual gratification. That's the issue. And that is a major issue. And that is the difference between, for example, seeing someone, oh, they're a very attractive person versus lust. You see that person, you objectify that person, you use that person for lustful desires. That's the issue. Orbs, no. Orbs are 9 times out of 10, orbs are dust, particles, or bugs. So the first exorcism, I was the assistant. And that was the one that I lift the eyes and the eyelids were solid black. And I was catatonic. I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything. I was completely frozen. I was frozen. And that was the one that went up like this, like a V shape. That's the only form of levitation that I've seen, because she was lying down and she was facing up, and it was like someone put a rope around her waist and just lifted her up. And I heard her vertebrae crack, and I actually thought she had broken her back. Well, thank you, Zion. Thank you. And I actually thought she had broken her back. So I lifted her eyelids, and they were solid black, and it was like looking. I could see my reflection in its eyes, and that was just completely catatonic. So I will try, Ellen. I have over 19,000 messages on TikTok, so I'll try. So, I was scared of that one. Sure, yeah. Nope. Erratic, absolutely not. What causes possession? I've always found that possession usually occurs because there was some form of invitation. playing with the Ouija board, doing things you shouldn't do, going to a place that's known to have demonic infestation. Let me tell you something, friends, stay away from these locations that are known to have demonic activity. There's a lot. I know there's paranormal investigating and people enjoy it. I'm telling you, you need to stay away from those places. There's nothing good that's going to come from this. Why would you? Why? Well, I just want to see if it's real. And then when you do, and it attaches itself to you, then you're going to call Bishop Long. The problem is I have 19,000 messages right here on TikTok. I have over 900 messages on Messenger. I have 21,000 emails. I don't do this ministry. I don't charge. So I fund this ministry by myself. And I may not be able to get to you. Thank you. So stay away from this. Just don't get involved. Don't get involved. And see, here's the thing, and I want people to know this because this is very important. Number one, I don't charge for my ministry. I never have in 25 years. I don't receive a stipend. We don't get paid in the old Catholic Church. We don't receive a stipend, a salary. We are working clergy. We have jobs outside of ministry that pays for our ministry, or we have few people to help. So I'm not. Look, there's no ulterior motive for me doing this. If I was, for example, if I was charging $5,000 in exorcism, then you can say, aha, that's why you're doing it. Well, I don't charge. And somebody's got to pay for that flight. Somebody's got to pay for the hotel, the rental car. Somebody's got to pay for it. And I don't charge the clients. So I end up having to flip the bill. So I'm telling you this because I have no ulterior motive other than tell you that I performed 34 exorcisms and I've seen people who are truly possessed. And I know there's a lot of people that don't want to accept the fact that possession exists. It does. How do I decide I want to take on a case? So what happens is, let's say there's in Florida. I reach out to a paranormal team that has many years of experience that tried to debunk the activity. They go to these people's homes, don't charge. They investigate, they gather all the evidence, and they present the evidence to me. And based on that, I determine if we're dealing with demonic infestation, if we're dealing with deliverance, if we're dealing with oppression, if we're dealing with possession. And so it's an extensive process. Thank you, Zan. Thank you very much. And keep in mind, now people say, absolutely, Steve. Demons will 100% use AI. Are you freaked out? No, not. My first exorcism, I was frightened, but no, they're parlor tricks. So no, I don't. I'm not frightened. Not at all. Yep, they've all been successful. So you go to a location that's known to have a demonic infestation. You say, is there anyone here? Can you do something? Can you make a noise? Can you push me? Or you're beating your chest like I told Zach on Ghost Adventures. I was like, dude, you're not scaring them. Do you not understand? You're not provoking. You're inviting. You've given the invitation. So now it attaches itself to you. And you go home, you have demonic infestation. And now you're in trouble. Which is not a good thing. So for those of you who are listening to this on podcast, we say good night to you guys. Yeah, I've talked about that, Claire, already. Yeah, I was on Ghost Adventures. I was on the Bobby Mackey's episodes. Many years ago. Many, many years ago. Okay. Using UFOs. No, I do not believe so. Because a demon doesn't need a spaceship. So I don't believe. However, this is what I'm going to say about that. There. Some of the abductions, I think people are misinterpreting the abductions from demonic issue because they're very similar. And so I'm the abduction issues I'm looking more into. So, oh, wonderful. Wow, where's he around? Okay. So guys, here's the deal. I have to, and it's possible. I mean, Dr. James, it's possible. No. All right, guys, listen, we have to wrap things up because I have to get everything ready for our night prayer because it's coming up at the top of the hour and I'm running behind. So for those of you who are listening to this on all the other platforms, remember I tell you, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. We'll see you guys in about 15 minutes or so for night prayer.